Hello, fellow toolboxers. Welcome to episode 281. We have a special kind of episode today where I'm interviewing an actual former client of my law firm to get a better understanding of how we got them as a client to get that marketing angle. As you know, we're kind of shifting and doing different kinds of things with the podcast, not just focusing on the law aspect and even interviewing colleagues, but bringing in perspectives of the way I've done things and to learn from that because I'm more fully analyzing these things to see, why we had some success here, why I had some failures here. As my law firm is scaling, it gives me the opportunity to think about these things more. And I want to share this knowledge, which was, historically, which is me studying immigration law, but I want to study the business of running an immigration law firm and share my findings with you. We do have private programs. I just started a mastermind group for people that are going to be small or solo practitioners starting their own firm. Just started to share that knowledge. If you're interested in that, let me know. If you're interested in learning about marriage immigration, to get involved in this, I have the best course in the world on that called the Champions for Freedom Marriage Immigration course. That's a lot of fun, and we have office hours for that. Just email me if you're interested in getting into that. If you haven't already, like and subscribe and leave a 5-star review wherever you're watching this. It really helps me out to get more attention to the podcast. More attention means more time we spend to invest in it, so I really appreciate that. For those who are immigration lawyers, we have a community on the website called circle.so. It's this community website, and I'm posting a lot of material there. I just did a CLE on Iranian immigration, an hour. It's really just nonstop information. So if you're ever going to practice where you have an Iranian client, you have to listen to this because the immigration process is completely different than everyone else. There's things you have to know that no other country has to deal with. So it's vital that you check that out, and it's free. You just got to be part of the community. Go there. There's a PowerPoint. There's a video recording. Just watch it. It's great to do. And I want to thank the sponsor who got that CLE going, who's a sponsor of the podcast and the magazine, a great company you already know about called, Serenade, and they have the product called e-immigration, which is the forms program for immigration lawyers, practice management. And they've been so kind. They've been doing this for 30 years. They're modern practice management software for immigration attorneys and other legal professionals to manage their cases, clients, forms, billing, and much more. They've won a bunch of awards. A Capterra G2, giving them best value, best ease of use. Definitely something that's realistic and just as it is, as colleagues who use the software have voted on. So it's definitely something to check out. You can go and use their comprehensive software, test it out. You just got to contact them. You could go to serenade.com/e-immigration, Serenade with a C, or email them at sales@serenade.com. And just if you want to get a special promotion that they have, where to give a bunch of stuff off, just say Immigration Lawyers Toolbox 2023. They give you, I think they discount the setup fee. There's a first month free for however many team members you have that are subscribing to it. And they give this other thing free, some sort of technology transfer thing. I'm just asking for it. It's a bunch, $1,000+ of discounts that they give you just by mentioning the podcast. And when we get sponsors, like, hey, how could you hook it up for my listeners? I don't, obviously they're sponsors. They support what we do here. But like, how much extra support can you do for our listeners? So we definitely put that up there. So let's get started with the podcast. It's going to be really neat. A former client of mine. It's hard to get these things going because it's kind of a sensitive issue, but this is a good client, just got citizenship, where he's going to talk about this stuff. So I hope you enjoy it. Have a good one. So Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is going to be a really special one because it's outside the norm, but of what the podcast usually is for the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. But we're probably going to do more of these. Obviously, there's an issue of confidentiality and comfort and all this stuff, but knowing your case, as you are a former client, to give you permission to do this, and there's no problems, and you just got citizenship. Was it yesterday? I got noticed.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Congratulations! Now you got to go through the hassle of getting a passport. But where you're at, I think actually it's like the fastest place to get a passport in Houston.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, John.
I appreciate it. This is a really special treat because a lot of times, immigration lawyers get a lot of clients, have no idea where they come from, and they don't think about the client type and stuff like that. And you are the ideal client type for my firm. I mean, I'm not sure how to put it, but essentially your client that's educated, friendly, thoughtful, doesn't have issues paying fees, doesn't negotiate. It just wants someone who does the job right, is very respectful, and you can develop a relationship with. And so that's like the perfect client. And I want to get into how you found our firm to help both in my marketing and for other people, how they're going to think about this kind of ideal client. In this case is for, marriage cases, like the way you got your green card. But some people might be corporate stuff, and we'll do sort of interviews with companies, like HRs for that. But okay, so let me know about your background at the time you came to the firm, your country, your work history, all that kind of stuff. Then we'll get to what you do now as well, which is leadership coaching and a lot of
Sure.
stuff like that. But let me know, like, it was it like I guess 6 years ago. I mean, no, you got 3 years ago, so 4 or 5 years ago, you contact my office, and where you're visiting the United States. We'll go back to where you were at the time personally, and where your then girlfriend were at the time.
Sure. Yeah. So it was in 2019, and I had actually met my now wife in 2018, and she was introduced to us through a friend because I was living in London. I have a British passport. So I was born in South Africa. I gave up that citizenship and I moved to the UK, and I've been around the world. So I've traveled quite a lot. So I know whenever I travel, I always make sure I've got like police clearance certificates, birth certificates, everything is on me. So it always looks a little bit suspicious, even if I'm on a tourist kind of thing. But I know that it just saves a lot of time. So, I've had to do visas for a while for many countries. So I know that it's such a painful process. And, we really wanted to give the relationship a shot. And that requires us to be in the same location. And unfortunately, the UK doesn't pay anywhere near what my wife was getting here, in the
Hmm.
US. So it was like a no-brainer. We had to make it work in the US. And so what did that look like? So we gave it the 3 months, which was the holiday visa, time. And then after that 3 months, it was like, look, if we're really gonna be serious and invest and commit to each other, we need to start talking about ways in which I can stay. And
Yeah,
then
so you came in just to develop your relationship and see what's going on with that. It's not your
yes,
like you're engaged or anything like that. Just I'm gonna get to know this person.
yep.
And then you realize, I mean, I think I mean, we were at the airport about to leave, and you're like, we can't do this. Was that I remember you had to like cancel the flight kind of thing.
Well, so what it was is I came into the country for like I think about a month, and then I thought, okay,
Hmm.
I need to leave the country for like 2 or 3 months so I could come back again, and that's what I
Yeah.
did. So in the January, I was here, and we spent some time together, and I left to go to Costa Rica, and I was in Costa Rica and it's San Jose for like 2 months to just kind of like allow more time so I could come back again. And she came and visited me in Costa Rica for I think it was 2 weeks. And that whole process of going from we were in each other's environments to long term again killed us, killed
Hmm.
us, And that's why, like, I was like, coming back to the US, this was either the make or the break trip. Like, we wouldn't survive another long distance thing just because neither of us wanted to do it. We've done it so long in the past. Like, it
Hmm.
wasn't an option. So yeah, basically, I think we were like, oh, let's push back the decision, until it was, I think, 2 days before I had to go on my flights, and that's when it became this issue of like, let's just cancel the flights.
Yeah, just
Let's
say.
yeah.
And then, so that's when you decided, hey, actually, I'm going to be immigrating. You're going to pull the trigger on this because you decided to have a relationship that's, full, like, lifetime relationship. What was the next step towards finding help to figure out how that all works?
I mean, so that was a big deal. We had already like kind of tapped the network in the January of that year. We had already kind of gone through friends of friends who were lawyers and whatever that talked about the different visas, and none of them really fit except for the spouse visa. And but they didn't speak about it with confidence or anything like that. And I said, look, I don't want to mess around with this. And so she was like, all right, well then let's get like professional help and make sure that nothing goes wrong. And
Mhm.
that was the big deal, is just the amount of stress that we wanted to take off of our shoulders.
Interesting. So that's really important. So they always talk about business, about the pain points of what people are feeling. And a lot of my clients, it's just like they don't want to sit and worry or lose sleep at night. And my role in the consultation is like, let me take on that stress and have show confidence once I know the facts of your case that it's okay, everything's going to work out, to make them less worried.
That was our experience with you as well. Like, especially just after that first call, the human touch was so important. The fact that you eased our mind on particular things. You've been through the process so many times. So if we're using the metaphor of like, a guide through a jungle, we see the
Yeah.
jungle and we're freaking out because we haven't been through there. And you're like, don't worry, that's the destination we're going to, and you're pointing at the distance. And then you're like, and I'm going to take you there. And you kind of like grab us by the hand. You'd be like, okay, let's go. And don't worry, everybody, we're fine. That kind of that kind of thing. You let us know all along the way. You signaled to us. You communicated very well, concisely. We knew exactly where we stood. And every time we had a question, we asked it. you responded. And that's the big thing. We didn't want to be consumed by being one number in a large firm as well.
Yeah.
So the way that you presented to us, you said that you take on fewer cases, but each case is much more personalized. And for us, that was just a huge tick. Where I'm sure, like on your side, you're like, well, I'm a private firm or something like that. I can't do the numbers, or I don't have the gravitas as like a big firm or something like that. Well, actually, no, it's the opposite way around. It was the selling point for us. The fact that you knew us by name. That's a big deal, rather than just like, oh, you're case number 1382. Oh, yeah. Okay, come this way. This person will see you, and you don't feel like you're known. So being seen, heard, and that was a big deal for us.
How did you find my firm?
So my wife is a huge investigator. She will research, you met her. She will research restaurants and call them and ask what oils they use in their kitchens and things like that. She's not afraid of doing hardcore research.
Yeah.
And she trusts a lot of like directories and things like that. And so she found you on Yelp, and you were a name in amongst, I think, 10 that she decided to go deeper in. And she couldn't believe some of the reviews that were on Yelp for you. She went deep diving into your reviews, checking out websites and things like that, and then found the content that you had created as well around immigration, and was basically saying like, this guy's the rock star of immigration lawyers, which you are.
Thanks.
You absolutely are. I mean, in our experience, you are an absolute rock star.
Thank you. I base my client type on my wife, who does the same. Like whenever we're going to choose services, she goes and reads all the reviews and stuff. And I'm just like, just pick the first one. Or it's so much work that I don't feel like doing it, but she's so good at it. So, and that's like a perfect client, because I get on with her. She, it's not price sensitive in the fact that she wouldn't just go based on price. So I kind of pay attention when we're about to go to a restaurant or get a dentist or something. I try to remember to watch how she's doing it. So like, she went to this side, this picture helped her out. I'm like, okay, I got to do that to get that. It's the kind of perfect client that I'm looking for.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like my wife too. Yeah. And I'm the same as you, I think, where I'm just like, yeah, sure. Let's give him a go, so I'm very happy that she took charge of that. So that was amazing.
I wanted to jump in for a quick second and talk about one of our wonderful new sponsors, immigrationevaluationdirectory.com. Did you know research reports psychological evaluations can increase an asylum applicant's chance of approval by 78%? Psychological evaluations are hugely beneficial in hardship, cancellation, asylum, and other types of immigration cases, whether with USCIS or the Immigration Court. Connecting with qualified clinicians has never been easier thanks to the immigrationevaluationdirectory.com. Free to use, you can filter the directory by location, language, case type, and more, then review profiles and reach out. The Immigration Evaluation Directory is your one-stop resource to find the best therapist to help. Explore more today at immigrationevaluationdirectory.com and get the help that you need. One thing in my trainings, I always tell other immigration trainings, my associate as well, in the consultation, if you have a client's husband or wife, always sell towards the wife. They're the decision maker when it comes to high ticket items, like 98% of the time. The husbands just don't feel like thinking about it. So they just defer to what the wife says. So I always, if I have a consultation and the wife's not in tune, or she's like, we had one recently where she was like working at the same time as a meeting and she wasn't as like connected. The husband was loving it. He was smiling but it's like nothing happened from it because the wife is too distracted. I always try to go towards the wife because she's going to be making the decision in those kind of relationships.
Well, that was definitely the wise choice in our case as well. Regarding, like obviously she was sponsoring me as a spouse. Mm-hmm. And this would increase the burden on her, increase paperwork load on her. She would need to submit her tax reports and things like that. So,
yeah,
that was absolutely the wise choice there too. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so that was how you found us. The difference was a personalized attention, talking with you, selling to the right person. And then throughout the process, I was always available, like just communicating if emails were there, giving good answers. Not be coy about stuff and not like, trying to avoid you handing off to an assistant or something like that. That's really, it's not complicated stuff. It's just regular services at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had never obviously gone through an immigration process with a lawyer before. Like I had gone through this process in the UK, but I did it all myself, and I can tell you tensions were high. So this was the first time that I did it, and it felt great. And the fact that you were available to us was huge. And it wasn't like we needed like an hour of your time at a time. It was quick little questions that we had that you answered. It must have taken you like a minute to answer us.
Mhm.
And it just smoothed the whole process, and just like, oh, we can do this. Oh, this is something that's easily achievable and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, what I found is there'll be some stuff clients worry about that's like it doesn't even come to me as a worry because I know it's not a problem, but they'll literally won't go to sleep at night. And if you could just relieve them of that stress with a one quick email. Some lawyers like to wait 24 hours for responding, so you don't people don't get used to contact you. But it's like people are not going to sleep at night. Like they're paying you a lot of money, so they don't have to have that feeling. And it
Hmm.
really doesn't take that much time, especially when you're good clients like you that give the documents and stuff. Some clients, you guys like pulling teeth to get documents, but especially when a client's like just available and does it, it's good. Now, we haven't prepped this at all, but was there anything negative you would say about that regarding price, regarding service? Just frankly, is there anything? So that that stuff helps me learn too, and it might not be none, or you might feel uncomfortable telling me, but it's okay.
No, no, no. I'm trying to actually rack my brain and think about something that was about the process or about the service or something like that that was negative. Um, I can't think of anything. Everything was very positively handled. We were over the moon with everything that we received as well. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, if I
Well,
were pushed, absolutely pushed, I can't think of anything.
Well,
You
let's
know?
think about always a touchy subject, which how much it costs. My fees since we started have gone up probably like 30 or 40% than what they were but at the time they were still higher than maybe the average. What did you talk with other lawyers that had different prices, or have you gotten prices from other lawyers?
There was a friend of ours who actually had just gone through the process as well, and they
Hmm.
recommended they recommended these people, and when we looked at the price point, yours was uh, comparable. It was the same price, but this was a bigger firm as well, and the result took longer. Now I know each case is probably different or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, but that didn't inspire us with confidence.
Hmm.
To listen to like how long they had to wait, how they communicated, things like that. They had to pitch up at these lawyers' offices, and so the fact that you were also remote, we could talk to you on Zoom and things like this. And this is, if I remember correctly, this is just before the pandemic, or it's just at the onset of the pandemic or something like that. So
Yeah.
remote work wasn't really that regular anyway, but
Hmm.
we just communicated everything, by phone or by Zoom or
Yeah.
whatever the case was. And it was suitable for our lifestyle because we were busy doing other things.
Yeah.
Whereas the guy that I knew, he constantly had to go in. If he had a question, he couldn't just email. They would set an appointment and he
Oh
would go
wow.
in or something like that. It was ridiculous. Yeah. So we weren't too happy. And as it turns out, I got my green card back in 4 months from application, whereas he got his. I think he needed to wait 8 months, which is that's a lot of waiting time. And then
Yeah.
beyond that, like you always had great suggestions, and you were like, oh, this court over here, you knew the ones that would suit us as well. You were like the sommelier of all these things, where you're like, oh, is this to your preference? Okay, cool. Why don't you go to try this court, with your wedding date or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful, because it's a very overwhelming experience, and you can be inundated with too many things to think about as well. So
And let me share that tip too. So in Los Angeles, once you get married at a courthouse, it takes like 2 months to get the marriage certificate. Before Trump, I would just submit the marriage cases with the registration, not necessarily the marriage certificate. That'll be okay. But when Trump came, I didn't want to mess around. And it takes too long in LA. Plus, they make mistakes every once in a while. And San Francisco is the same; these busy areas. So I usually say, okay, don't get married in LA. Go to the neighboring counties. And I call them up random every once in a while to see how quick their turnover time is. So Los Angeles County is a major county in Southern California. Orange County to the south. They take, I mean, it changes because COVID. It was like 1 to 2 weeks to get one there. Ventura County did same day marriage certificates. With COVID, they only accept people getting married that are in the county. That's going to change pretty soon with things opening up. Santa Barbara, you can get it within a week, if not faster. But another important thing is in LA, a lot of people go to Van Nuys, which is one location that's very ugly. And I don't want people to have their wedding there, even if it was same day, because it's just like not a good memory. So I'm like, go to Santa Barbara, it's beautiful. Go to Ventura County, it's beautiful. Go to Orange, but don't go to there. I got married at Beverly Hills Courthouse, which has some history, which is fun. But we got a letter 6 weeks after getting married saying there was a mistake and we're not married. We have to come back. And then we're like, what the hell? So we called them up. They're like, oh, that was a letter we sent out to everybody by mistake. Now, for all the people who had marriage green card case based on that, they'd be freaking out because they submitted a case, which is invalid marriage certificate. That's going to create a lot of problems. And they have to resubmit, they lose the fee. So they made a mistake. It was not a problem, but that, dealing with that bureaucracy that makes that kind of mistakes, I'm like, oh, let's just avoid it altogether. It's better. Go to neighboring county and it's faster and nicer. So, these are the extra levels of stuff. Before I got married, I didn't realize how much of a headache it is to get married because you have to register the paperwork, go online, set up a date. I just tell my clients to go get married. Once I got married, I realized how many steps there are. I'm like, okay, that's additional service. I got to go to the, people might be getting married in Michigan. I got to go to the county website there to see how their marriage is, include a link to how to get married there to help them in the process and all these random little things that are important. Right now, I'm about to read this book right now of this, like the most top restaurant in the world is in New York, and the guy who made it, I forgot what it's called, but he made this top restaurant, and his restaurant, like if the server overheard while walking by your table that you're getting married next week, they would give you like a dessert or go get you flowers. Or when you come in and they ask where you park, you say I parked the street at the meter. Like, oh, what meter number are you at? They give the number. They would go and put money in the meter to make sure they didn't get a ticket or something like that. And it's like, it's not about eating at the restaurant. It's not about ambiance at the restaurant, but it's initial kind of steps that take these to the next level, which makes it where like people forget how much they pay. They're just in love with the service. So I'm going back right now and I have to go, and I do a lot of marketing in my firm, but I've been doing less marketing because I'm going step by step and analyzing each part of the interaction I have with the client. So I think, how can I make this a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-star experience? So they're constantly blown away at the professionalism and the level of service, so that like they just will want to keep talking about how great the lawyer is to random people. They're going to Uber ride and they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe the immigration lawyer I have. It's like, what, why they're just so excited. And like, how could I do that? It takes resources, but once you learn how to, do it right and stuff, it's not gonna be as much. But it's an experience that people are never gonna forget. And that's the goal I have in my development.
I mean, speaking to that, the experience that we had was enough for us to send, I think we've sent 6 people your way. Like, I don't know, but it's like anytime anyone's got a question, we're like, check out our lawyer. He's incredible, and we connect you.
Speaking of which, one of your friends in Northern Europe just got their immigrant visa last week. So that's actually on Tuesday. So there's a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about,
Wonderful. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming. Stay on the line as I end the recording. But I hope people enjoyed this segment. We're going to try to do more of these. I love your feedback. There's a bunch of stuff I like to mention. I'll record it later about the products we have at the magazine, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to take too much time, Justin, but thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
No, anytime. Thank you, John.